How about now?
How is it now? Can you let me know if you guys can hear? We did a Zoom party for a gymnastics studio this morning, and okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah, we did a Zoom party, and Jenny had to use her AirPods, and I forgot to turn on the regular microphone, so it's on now.
It's his fault.
Her fault.
Anyway, what I was saying...
Nobody's fault. It's the children's
fault.
We'll
have to cut that part off.
We'll blame the children.
What I was saying...
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'm Jenny. This is Paul. We're with Go Box Art Crate. We want to welcome our normal crew that comes in every Friday for our live stream. Well, every 2 times a month Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also give a shout out to our Patreons. We can do everything without you. This is painfully slow time for us, so we want to thank you guys for that wholeheartedly.
It
and
is.
I won't take too long with our introduction before we get going.
Yeah, we made the mistake of having pizza delivered right before.
Oh, we smell it, and there's a fan. We can smell it. Let us know if you can hear the fan. It's really quiet for us, but if the mic might pick it up different.
It might. So just let us know if it's too loud.
Yeah. And before we get started, because the camera's really zoomed in on our project tonight, because we're doing the ornaments that are really small, I will show you what we're doing next month. So next month we're doing a lion. You guys really liked it on our Facebook chat page, on our group page. Mm-hmm. And so I thought I would give that to you for September. So Paul still has to make his.
I haven't done my September one yet.
But that's what you'll be getting from me, and it's super easy. I know it looks like it's hard, but it's actually really easy the way it's drawn out. I actually looked up some tutorials on how to easily draw a lion, and we can do it. So let's go ahead and do a toast.
Let's toast. Let's toast to all of the funness and,
Funness.
Cheers. And getting to smell pizza until we are done.
Yep, let's zoom in.
All right, boom, here we go. Wow.
So there we are. Colors for this month are basically they're the primary colors. We've got black and white. This is phthalo red, cobalt blue, and craft yellow. And we can make all these fun colors with these, plus even more if you want. My daughter was a little bummed that I didn't make my bust pink, so I might do it pink tonight, just to make her happy. One of the cool things about these ornaments, well, they're very sturdy. You guys got them in your box, so you see how sturdy they are. They're double-sided, so you can do a completely different painting on the backside, or let's say you didn't necessarily care for your first effort and you want to paint the backside, definitely do that. These are great. I like to string them over a bottle of wine, and like I have a party I'm going to tomorrow night where I want to bring a hostess gift, and I will string whatever one I do tonight over the bottle of wine that I will bring, so that's such a great idea. I think I'm going to have us rock out the bus first, and the key thing here to pay attention to is where the drill hole is. I have a tendency to get going on painting and then completely lose sight of where this is, and by the time it's hanging, it'll be crooked. So I try to keep that in mind the whole time. It's really, really easy to accidentally get it to where it's really crooked. So just keep that at the top all the time. And if you do turn this to work on certain parts, try to remember to turn it right back up so it's due north. And that's it. Let's go ahead and get started. In your Go Box kit, you should have your 4-pack of brushes. We are probably mainly going to be using the bottom 3 here. Mm-hmm. In the next campfire ornament, we'll use this one for the background, but I think that's about it. So actually this is unusual, we start with the smallest brush.
What?
And I wanted to start with this one while we have a lot of energy, because it does have some details in it. And the shapes are real easy, but it has some detail work. So let's take our smallest brush. Go ahead, dip it in your cup of water, wake those bristles up, and then dry that off on your towel. I like that you've done Joanna, I like that you've done the wine bottle ornament thing. That's awesome. I think it's a really unique thing. Okay, so let's dip the tip of the bristles in some white. And we're going to draw the top of the bust. So you have your sheet here that came with your box, and you can follow along with that if you want, or just follow me here. So let's get this thing due north, and right over here I want us to make, it's kind of like a flattened out rainbow shape. It comes just short of this hole here. And remember, this is solidly painted. There's none of this brown showing through, so you can completely redo the whole painting if you want to do it more than once, or maybe the first time you just felt like it wasn't quite what you wanted. So now this is going to come across here and meet up. So we've got our first part drawn in. This is the top of the bus. These buses are so much fun, but they do not get up to speed. My dad was Volkswagen obsessed, and our first family car that we had when I was a kid was a orange Volkswagen bus. And then we had lots of Volkswagen bugs after that. I think he was maybe a little bit of a hippie. Now this part here, it slightly rounds out. You don't want to round it too much. It would be like kind of cartoony if you did that. I mean, a little bit is okay, but we just want to do a little. So I'm just slightly rounding out and coming down. They're kind of shaped like a bread box, to be honest. And then this part here, it's also slightly rounded. So we're rounding down towards the bottom and then back up. Here's our little bread box.
So I'm going to do a little shout out real quick to the Psychedelic Furs. We went and saw them in concert on Monday, and they were phenomenal for those of us from the 80s. So if you look and see they're playing in your area and they haven't hit your area yet, go see them.
They are great live.
Phenomenal. I was blown away.
Yes, we were blown away. We had fun.
We're still recovering from Monday.
Okay, so now we're going to draw the front windows. So it is divided, so just find what would be like a halfway point and come down just a little bit.
What's a little bit?
Maybe about 1/4 of an inch, thereabouts.
Okay.
They start off larger and we make them smaller. So let's come all the way back to the side and do the same over here. So yeah, this front windshield looks really large at first, but
mine kind of looks
we're gonna bring it in.
Kind of looks like a yurt so far.
Yeah, or a UFO. So let's go ahead and fill in the top roof real quick.
The Chicks.
Oh yeah, they were in Bend. Our friend Kelly went to that.
Yeah, Joanna said she saw them on Saturday.
Oh, fun. Yeah, they were in Bend at the Les Schwab.
It's not Les Schwab anymore. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember.
So if you notice, the center part between the two windows is not just a straight line. It actually kind of curves out on each side and is thicker than this single line. So I'm going to start that way. I'm going to start with a single line and then I slightly curve out this way. And then I'm going to do the same here and really round out down here.
You know, I guess Volkswagen is officially finally coming out with their retro van.
Finally.
It's small though.
That's funny. Okay, so now we want to come in and make these windows smaller by just painting in on the sides.
It might even be electric.
Oh, that would be kind of cool. And then I'll just double check. Usually I have one window that's slightly bigger than the other. And I'll just kind of try and fix that.
Kind of looks like a stormtrooper right now.
Yeah, actually they do go through a stormtrooper phase. And the white, you may need a second coat. It does start out kind of transparent and then you can make it more opaque. Alright. Super cool. Now to get this classic shape here, I'm going to first start by drawing a single line dividing the bus in half.
So we do get an opportunity to kind of course correct on the shape of our windows too.
Oh yeah, for sure, because we do paint them in, so you can definitely course correct. And then I am going to, so you can have a look, this is a lot wider than just this single line, but I want to just arch up and we're just doing like kind of a rainbow shape that just doesn't go back down. It just goes up and over and ends off the side of this. And we want to do the same thing over here. I just kind of try to match the height. I had a little bit of trouble when I did the original, just matching them up. And then you can fill in this whole area. So leave these two areas brown for now. And fill in this. Both of the paintings on these round ornaments would transfer to canvas beautifully. So you can definitely do this on canvas.
Or river rocks.
Or river rocks. But you should have enough paint left over because these don't take much paint at all. You can see I have very little set up compared to what I usually do.
These aren't the paints you're looking for. I don't know. Star Wars one.
You're trying to be funny.
You know, if you're not trying...
Trying the dad jokes.
Here's the thing. Like, if you're not trying, then you're never funny. You're just boring and mundane.
True. That is true. There we go. Woo! Now you need to think about what color you want your bust to be. And the cool part here is if you got these two parts a little too small and you want them a little bigger, you know, maybe they're going to come up closer to the windows, you can absolutely do that when you fill it in. And on the instructions, I have it so we fill in immediately, but this is really wet, so I'm going to wait a few minutes and have us get started on the background first.
Please tell me that somebody has customized their Volkswagen so that this looks like a skull. Like in real life. Because it so looks like a skull.
I guess I could see that.
No, I'm not just trying to be funny right there either.
Okay, so we'll let our bus sit there alone in the junkyard right now. And we're going to work on the background a bit, and then we'll come back and paint in the colored areas. So let's take this brush and wash it off. We got a good start going. Make sure your drill hole is in the right position. And now from your selection of 4 brushes, I want you to pick your second smallest. This one has the little number 4 on the handle. And we're gonna you can dip it in the water first and dry it off. It's just something I always like to do. I feel like it wakes those bristles up. Sometimes there's a little paint water residue left on the brush and it can make it kind of stiff and harder to work with. So I always do that, where I dip it in the water, make it more flexible, dry it off. So let's dip our brush right straight in cobalt blue. And the water line on this, I try not to line it up with the bottom of the windows. I try to go a little lower than that because that can kind of throw your eye off a little bit. So then pay attention to where the drill hole is. Let's drop just below those windows, just below the bottom edge of the windows, and just draw a line across for your horizon.
Why did I put the pizza between us and the fan?
I don't know.
That was not a smart thing.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out this part of the land. So this basically is kind of the shoreline or like maybe a dune that they're parked above. And I just sort of do a little dotted line and kind of make it uneven like so. And I got a little on my bus, a little of the blue. I'll just touch that up with some white later. And then we just want to use horizontal brush strokes. Try to make a nice flat horizon. Let's come down maybe a couple brush widths or so. About a 1/4 inch or so with this color. Nice deep ocean blue. And you can paint the sides of these later too. You could paint them any color. You could paint them the sky color or the water color. So once I'm to about here, I want to start lightening the water up. You can see it here, how it fades from dark to light. So I'm going to take and dip my brush without washing it in some white, and I'll overlap into the wet paint, kind of brush it up in there a little bit, and bring it back down. And if it got too light, like mine got really light, I could leave it that way, or I could just dip it in the blue and bring some darker blue back in here. But we want to have it kind of fade out as it reaches down in here. As it gets closer to the shore and the water is more shallow, I guess technically we could almost leave some of this brown. It could be sand, but that's a small area. So then I'm just going to go back and kind of keep my brush strokes horizontal. These ornaments, when I order them in, they actually come with a gold elastic string, which is great for Christmas, but for like a summer type ornament, I wanted to do rustic twine, so I sent you guys twine. It looks a lot better, actually, for summer. So you can play around with your water. It can be as light or as dark as you want. I do just like a fade. Right here I have definitely a little bit of a hard line, so I might wash my brush, dry it off, and while this is still wet I can kind of smudge the two colors together. We do add more white into the water so it becomes more like this, where we have like the suggestion of some waves.
I actually really like painting on this surface.
Yeah, it's really smooth and it's different than canvas. Canvas tends to absorb the paint and can be a little bit frustrating. We like canvas a lot, but it can be frustrating at times. I think this part where I went over is dry, so if you did that too, if you accidentally went over, you can touch up your bus a bit if needed. You definitely want the water behind the bus. We did finish our move. That was fun. It was 100 and some degrees. We were sweating like crazy.
Yeah.
I completely twisted my ankle on one of our last trips down the stairs. I missed the last stair and rolled it, and I thought it was broken. It was awful. I shed tears, and I think the tears were not so much about the ankle. It was about moving out. Because we just love that space. It just wasn't practical. But we are happy to have that completely done.
Well, we still have a couple things over there, but the landlords were not in a hurry to kick us out.
No, they don't have a new tenant. Okay, so we are going to now start working on, let's see, actually, let's get this dark brown shading, which you can see in this photo. This is where we're at right here. We're going to get this brown on here along the edge and then shade it under the bus itself, and then we'll get the sky on there. So, let's see. Black, phthalo red, and yellow. These three colors are going to give you a good brown. And I'm just going to use that same brush, number 4. It's a good one for this. So that's this one. Wash it off. And you don't need much of this color. I think we use it in the next painting too, but we'll remix it. So I'm going to start by mixing the pink color with the black, and then I'll throw in a little yellow at a time until it turns more of a brown. Because it can be burgundy at first until you start adding the yellow. And if needed, you can add a bit more black if you felt like you needed a little darker. We definitely want it brown though. And I don't know how well it shows up on the monitor, but I've got a definite chestnut brown here. That's what I'm aiming for. And I'm just going to dab this along the shoreline, starting way back here. And this is where you can kind of clean up the edge of the shore too. And you can bring it in here and there so it's not a perfect straight line. This doesn't end up showing much, but it does show a little bit. So it'll provide a nice area for our grass to go on. My paint is already drying on the palette. And then under the bus, your shading, you want it to be as wide as the bus and just come down a bit. I'm grasping. My paint is, maybe I'll add a little water to it.
Maybe I should go turn the fan off.
Oh yeah, you know, you could probably do that. It's probably drying mine really fast. So yeah, you don't want this to really be any wider than the bus and not too much narrower. But we do want it there. We put a little grass over the edge here. And I think later on we actually refresh this shadow as well. I see you getting in there. He's getting into the pizza. I'm going to wash the brush now. And we'll get the sky on. The sky is all kinds of fun because you can change out the colors that you do. Like you can do, I thought this one would be great with a sunset, and you definitely would want to reflect some of that into your water too. But I ended up doing just a cloudy, kind of like thin cloud type of sky, just because we do a lot of sunsets, and I just thought, well, I'll do it this way. And color-wise, I actually worked with 3 colors, these 3 right here. So mainly blue and white, but I threw in a little pink here and there just to make some purplish color here and there in the background. And it starts off without all the white clouds. We add those in one of the following steps. So let's go ahead and scrape off a little white, plop it down next to your blue. Let's dab those 2 together. Now when I'm mixing, see how I'm just kind of tapping my brush up and down? That way I don't over mix it. I want kind of a streaky color for the sky. So you get patches of darker blue in with patches of light. And how about this? I'll scrape off a little pink. Let me move my water, it's probably casting a shadow. And over here I'm gonna dab some of that in there. Maybe you could dab a little more blue in there. The purple areas are going to make it look more like there's a potential storm coming in. So keep that in mind. And let's go ahead and start putting that on here. See how my brush strokes, I'm just doing a quick little swipe of all different directions. This is very similar to how Paul does his skies. And paint right over that drill hole. I will occasionally just dip my brush in plain white and just sort of dab that around and blend in the edges. You can also do that with just plain blue. So basically we're mixing some of the color right here on the ornament itself. And you can play around. Let's see what happens if I add some pink right on here. Well, that's kind of fun. I definitely would want to blend that out a bit so it's not too red. Go back to some white. Oh, I like this. I like the extra pink in there. Yeah, speaking of pink, while you're doing this, think about what color you want to make your bus. A yellow bus is awesome. You can do orange by mixing the yellow and pink. It's kind of more of a coral. I'm going to actually do the pink tonight instead of the cobalt blue.
Ignore the school bus.
Is that a school bus?
Yeah.
Why so late?
I don't know.
School hasn't even started out here yet. I know some of you in other states, like Florida schools, have started already. Arizona started already. But then they get out a little earlier. Like our kids didn't get out till, gosh, it was like the 3rd week of June. This year's school is kind of strange because it starts September 1st, which is a Thursday. So the kids go Thursday and Friday, and then they get Labor Day weekend off. I guess that, like I was telling my daughter, you know, that's not such a bad thing, because she was complaining a little bit. I said it's not such a bad thing because it's kind of easing you into it. It's rather than starting on a Monday when it's like you have to be there all week and feel really tired by the end of the week. They're easing you into it. So don't worry about along the horizon. We put a hill back here. It looks a lot like Molokai. If you've ever been to Maui and looked across water and seen Molokai, it looks a lot like that. I was inspired by that. That was our view when we went to Maui.
It was.
It was really great. So I'm going to come right down to the edge of the bus. Use that flat edge of your brush. And do keep in mind we outline the brush in a dark color. It's kind of that dark brown color. So even if you don't touch the top of the bus with this blue or sky background color, you can, when you outline it, it will cover any, like I've got a little strip of the brown background. My outline's going to cover that. And again, like I was saying, you can leave a strip of the brown across here. But we do want to paint the back part of the windows. Let's go ahead and, just thinking here, let's do that now. Let's paint like the whole window, the sky color, just for ease. And you can use a smaller brush. Maybe my smallest brush would be the one to use here. Just mix whatever color is closest to around your bus. Don't worry if you accidentally paint onto the white. That's so easy to touch up with white. We need to put a second coat on this anyway, so that shouldn't be a problem. And you may have just seen I added some water to my paint just to stretch it out a little bit longer, a little bit further. I don't need much more, but I need just enough to reach the windows.
Joanna says they start school on the 22nd. She's laminating while having the video therapy.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's coming up, isn't it? It's like next week, isn't it?
I think it's
no, yeah, the week after.
Next. So it's the following Monday.
Yeah, so that background pretty much matches my sky around it. Good enough. Not going to worry about it too much. And yes, we do need to put more clouds in the sky, but we can wait on that. Now, if you want, you can take, like if you've got some of this purpley color, if you used purple, I like to put a little of that in the water. Just little streaks. I'm using the thin edge of my brush and just indicating a reflection of these cloudy shapes on the water. You can even add some white in there. This is technically the next step we do, but I might as well do it now. This is all dry. So by adding some white-ish streaks in there, it shows that there's maybe some breakers. You guys have probably painted enough beach scenes with us that you know what we're talking about here. I do love the difference. I like having the pink sky, and since I'm going to make my bus pink, this is going to tie in really nicely here. And just, I matched my nails to my painting, just so you know. I didn't really.
But the end result?
The end result is like I meant to do that. I'm already in Halloween mode, which is good. I'm coming up with ideas for some different projects to do over the Halloween months. Hopefully more than just go back, because I always have lots of ideas. I'm super inspired in the fall. Spring and summer is not good for me for being inspired, but I'm super inspired fall and winter. I can just bash out a ton of paintings. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and color in the bus. So we'll get the, I'll do a second coat of white first, just a thin coat. You don't need much.
I'm not gonna do it.
You're not gonna do what?
The Aaron Neville.
Oh gosh. Thanks. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed your summer. It just seems like it's flown by. And I think because we're always a step ahead as far as like what holidays are coming up and stuff, because we're technically doing retail, it seems like it goes faster. The years are flying by. There, I've got a nice thin second coat on here, and it's a lot more opaque. Because it's thin, it's probably going to dry pretty quick.
I'm actually painting my whole bus white right now.
Okay. That's fine.
Just because I felt like I want the color. I wasn't real happy with my shape.
So I'm going to make a nice pink color for my bus. I guess it's going to become a Barbie bus here with this color. And I'll just fill in these little pieces. And you can come all the way over the white outline on the side here. You can leave a sliver of it if you want, because we do outline in the dark color. And if you need to use a smaller brush, I'm using my number 4. If you need to use your smallest brush, feel free to do that anytime. And you can always turn your ornament if it's easier to reach certain areas with it turned. Now that we have our whole foundation laid out, you don't have to worry about this drill hole too much. It's just at first when we are laying out the blueprint. Oh, it looks like it's blushing. That's cute. I like too that you can change the color. You can decide, you know what, this color I picked is not really for me. This one is definitely for me. I would love to have a pink Volkswagen bus. With a twin turbo though. I'm used to my fast car. I guess this is a stop and see the scenery type of car. So yeah, you can leave a little sliver of the white edge along here like I did. Totally fine. And we put a bumper along the bottom so you can leave a little sliver of that across the bottom too.
Jenny drives a fast car. Your nails are on point, and they are pointy.
They are. They're actually just press-ons, and I have a love-hate relationship with them. They're
not as pointy as Greta's.
I can't hardly type with them. I'm leaving them on for my party tomorrow night, and then I'm probably going to take them off and just let my nails recover. I've got like a cuticle irritation on one, so yeah. They're not for me. My daughter wears like, hers are... They're called stilettos, and here I'll draw the shape of them just for fun while we're waiting. Hers are black, and they are shaped just like this. And they're about that long. I don't know how she does anything.
She doesn't.
She doesn't. I told her, like, you have those kind of nails because you don't do any hard labor. It was funny. Okay. So now let's get some grass, and actually before we do that, rewind. Let's get this this part of the car. So this is the interior of the car, and we want to show that. You just get pedicures. Yes, I haven't gone into a nail salon in so long. I feel like once you start, you're hooked in, and I'm not really good at like doing things on a regular basis. I think I probably just have a little bit of ADD. So we want to make this kind of grayish blue color. It's kind of a smoky blue, and we're going to mix black and blue and white. So let's make a light blue first. And of course I poked my brush right in the middle of my white just to pollute it all. There we go. So I have kind of a lightish blue, and then I'm just going to grab a little black and stir that in. So you want it to be a different color than what's in your windows right now. So like this gray blue is perfect. And the shape of it, so we have this little back window, and that's all we're really seeing is the light from this back window. So here's the shape I'm doing, kind of just going from the, I don't know what you would call this shape. We're going in at an angle and straight across. And then you want to fill in the part underneath that. Turn your ornament as needed. This makes me think of the movie Little Miss Sunshine. Someone needs to do a yellow one.
I'm doing yellow one.
Are you? Are you doing Little Miss Sunshine?
Not
I love that
intentionally.
movie.
I didn't think of that movie when I decided to do it, but
There we go. This particular painting is it is inspired by one of my artists I had in, I want to say, about 2013. He did several Volkswagen bus paintings, and they were so good, but they took way too long because they were highly detailed on a 16 by 20 canvas. So from what I understand, the students were there painting till like 10:30, which is really late. But the paintings were amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, let's get some extra clouds in here now that we have this. I would keep... We don't want to really have to paint clouds behind in the back window. So this area, I'd maybe try to keep it around close to the same color so that it makes sense. I'm going to use my number 8 brush. You could use your number 4 too. Either of these are going to do about the same thing. And I want to dip the brush in white. Not very much. And usually what I'll do is I'll kind of swipe my brush on the palette to knock excess off. So you can see I just have a little bit on there. Not a ton. And I'm just going to do some little wispy curved shapes, and you can swirl your brush around.
We're dipping it just a little bit. Sid says she had to help a girl get her card out of the ATM because her nails were so long.
That's pretty funny. So I have such a wispy layer of paint on here that I'm able to make this almost foggy look. If you had too much paint and suddenly you lost a lot of your sky color, just go back and take some of your sky color and add it back in there, and then maybe add a little white on top of that. You can play around with it. It's pretty fun and forgiving. My clouds, I feel like, are easier than yours, Paul. But maybe they don't look quite as dramatic.
I mean, everybody's going to develop their own style, and there's nothing wrong with that.
This does work pretty good if the background is dry. And you can play around and add more. Gosh, the top layer of my white is crusting over.
You know, I haven't had a good pedicure in a while. I enjoy going and getting them.
You haven't gotten a pedicure. You've gotten a... yeah, pedicure. That's right. Yeah, you've gotten a pedicure. I was thinking
a few times. I really enjoy them.
Yeah. We can get a little
especially
free
with a mimosa.
Of wine. Free glass of wine?
No. Mimosa. It's got to be a mimosa.
I don't know if I've ever had a mimosa one. Here we go.
I think, yeah.
So yeah, I've left this area mostly untouched. You can put a little wispy clouds in there, but you want it to make sense. You don't want this suddenly to be dark and the rest of this really light and cloudy.
So why is it that when you add orange juice to champagne, it gets fancier?
I have no
it's
idea.
Kind of like that doesn't make any sense at all. It should be like the opposite. We're watering it down with OJ.
I want to know your guys' feedback about how you like the surface of these. I don't do too many ornaments. I try to do them once, maybe twice a year, just because I'm not sure if everyone loves working with them. I do like to change things up so you're not just doing canvas every month. But I kind of sneak them in here and there. I do like doing them at Christmas time, but I don't want to overload each box with, oh, we're doing ornaments again. Ornaments. So yeah, once or twice a year is good.
I think the first year we did 2, but then since then we've just done 1. Like, I don't think we've done...
I prefer these to the wood ones that have the tree bark on them, and the only reason for that is, well, there's a couple of reasons. The surface on these is so smooth and easy to work with, but also the shape and size varied so much on the wood ones. I got some where I had to get rid of the whole entire box because they were, just less than 2 inches across, and you can't work with them. And then, like, they'll be kind of pear-shaped and instead of round, and which is fine, but then they've drilled the hole in a weird spot, so you're stuck with it hanging in a strange way with the pear shape that's like, it's just hanging from the side. It's really weird.
Very organic.
Yeah, so these are nice. They're a little more expensive, but they are very nice. Okay, let's get our Molokai Hill painted in. Right back here, you can do yours this greenish color like mine, or you could do it if you have like a real purple sky like mine. You could just mix these 2 colors together and make a really pretty purple and do the hill in purple. I'll go ahead and do the green just to see how it looks. Let's mix cobalt blue. Oh, and actually, I have my number 8 brush, but I want to grab my number 4. We need a little more control for this. Cobalt blue, yellow, and you get this nice vivid green, and then we are going to lighten it up with a little bit of white. And I used too much white, so now I have to add more cobalt. I guess the color is I don't know what I'd call that. It's not quite margarita. It's a little too dark. About like this. What would you call this color, Paul? I don't know what I'd call it.
Nope. I got nothing.
Okay. So you can use a small, like your smallest brush to sketch out the hill if you want. But I just like to use this one. I like to use the skinny edge. I'm going to start right at the edge of the bus. Come up. Kind of bump around. Bump up again. Bump down. Bump up. All the way up. So I've got this fun mountain range. And I'll fill that in down to the water.
I'm still drawing a blank on what color to call that.
It's not quite avocado, and it's not quite pea green.
Like, it's kind of a color you wouldn't want to ingest.
Yeah. And now we definitely want to get a little bit of that color in the water. Let's see if I can get the right lighting here. You can kind of see it there, where I've streaked bits of that there in the water.
You know, actually, you know what color it is? It's like bearing grease.
Okay, I wouldn't know that.
No.
So I think I'll use a smaller brush. Either use a smaller brush or wipe most of this paint off. And just come under the hill. You can even grab some wet paint from the hill itself and just streak that down in the water, just so that we have reflected some of that color. You don't want to lose your horizon line. So if you did lose it a little bit, just take your smallest brush and some cobalt blue. Kind of refresh that.
Joanna says her clouds are drunk toddler. Fair enough. It happens.
Clouds are a struggle. It took me a really long time. Like, literally, it was like probably just a couple years ago that I felt like I mastered them. And that was just from taking Paul's classes, honestly.
Oh, if you're basing it on me, then we have not mastered them yet.
I wouldn't say I've mastered them. There's a whole lot of different techniques I'd like to learn with clouds. Cool, looking good.
I don't anticipate mastering anything until I'm close to 90.
Yeah.
When it comes to art. And at that point, I'll probably just master the art of just being like, yep, you're good enough.
So the grass, it is varying mixtures of green. So we'll use some of this that we just made. We'll use some just yellow and blue without the white mixed in. You can use some
I actually kind of like
blue,
this.
just yellow. I did streak in some plain yellow grass there too.
I kind of just like the round color showing.
Yeah, you can do that too if you want.
I mean, it's up to you.
Looks like sand, I guess. I think I used my smallest brush. Yes. So I'm going to mix cobalt blue and yellow. I like a little more yellow than blue for my green here. I might need to get more yellow for the next project, for the campfire, or I'll have a green campfire.
Oh, I've got lots of yellow on my palette.
Now, from mixing, you might have a lot of paint on your brush, so it ends up with like kind of a glob, which isn't really the preferred amount for doing a blade of grass. So I'll usually kind of pull and twist my brush, so you're not losing your paint. You can go back and dip your paint right in there, or your brush right in there. And I'm going to just come along here and do some upward flicks. Come along the edge of the bus. I'm overlapping the brown, so you just want a sliver's edge of this brown showing. You can see here just a sliver's edge, so some of those blades of grass actually go over it. Now, keep in mind, this is an easy thing to do. It's easy to just go outward at an angle, and grass does sometimes do that, but I think in this small of a painting, it might look kind of strange, so I'm going to try to keep it going up and down mostly. And after I get a bit of grass on there, let's see if I can do a nice technical zoom in. I've got a shadow.
Oh, it's because you've got no light above?
Yeah. I can turn this on.
No, I've turned it on.
Okay, never mind then. I guess you can probably see it good enough.
I think we need to get the ring light back over the top.
Yeah. I'm going to mix a little blue into some of the grass along here. I mean, some of the green along here. So I have both greens, kind of the avocado green and the bluish. And I might just get some blades of grass in this kind of teal color. Now maybe I'll dip my brush in yellow. If all else fails, and grass is not your thing, you can take your brown mix, which was black, yellow, and pink, and add a little white to it, and you have a sand color. You can paint right over your grass that you maybe didn't like, and you have your bus parked on a little sandy beach. So I'm not completely covering my shadow, but I am coming up on the bottom edge of it. My bus shadow, I should say. It's fun with this bright yellow. You can see I just added it on there, and it really creates kind of a neat little glowing effect. Now, Paul's vineyard painting we did, or no, it wasn't a vineyard, it was the lavender fields painting. It had that, and some of you guys just mastered that so well, where it literally looks like there's just a glow in the middle of the field. But that's how you do it. You just paint some of the yellow right on there. It mixes with the blue-green paint, and you end up with a nice glowing area. I'm not using much pressure. I'm just doing a quick little flick. And the way you'll get texture here is just adding in different tones of green and yellow. So it looks like grass.
Oops.
Paul's trying to put the ring light up.
I'm getting us some extra light overhead.
Coming along good. So what we'll do next, once you have your grass base put in, I do want to go back and I add a little bit of turquoisey blue to the grass down in there. You can see the difference. One is all yellow and green, and the other has a little blue in there. Totally optional. But I need this to dry before I do that. So I think right now what I'll have us do is mix up our gray shade for the headlights, the bumper, the side mirror, and the little VW symbol, which can be a little rough to draw. I'm not gonna lie there. If you have a fine point marker in kind of a gray color, that would be the easiest way to do it. But just keep in mind, it's a little, it needs to be turned down just a little bit, Paul. Keep in mind, you can, there we go, wait, yeah. Probably good. You can paint right over it. So if it doesn't work out great the first time, just start over. Paint over it in white, let it dry, start over. Do a new logo. Mine is not by any means perfect. It's kind of wonky. But, I mean, people can look at this and know it's a VW bus. Hopefully. Okay, so let's mix. I'm going to use my number 4 brush to mix, but I'll probably use my smallest brush to paint the things on. So remember earlier when we made this kind of smoky blue color for the interior of the bus? Actually, quick moment here. I need to clean up a spot I just noticed. We want to make that but lighter. So I'm going to do white, a little blue, make a light blue. Add a little black at a time. So you have kind of a silvery gray color. This might work. Actually, I'll hold it up to the sky and I can see if I do the side view mirror in this color, it's going to completely disappear. So I do need to add a little more black to it. Still a little too light. It's a game. It's a game. Trying to mix up these colors.
What are we doing?
We're making a kind of silvery bumper color.
Oh, I gotcha.
Okay, mine's kind of on the darker side. That's okay. I do want it to show up against the sky, though. So let's go ahead and set this brush in the water or wash it off. And I'm going to use my smallest brush, this color, and I'm going to paint the bumper. It's kind of shaped like a hot dog, like a little gray hot dog. So it goes across the bottom and then it's rounded on the edge here. All the way across. I'll just do an outline first. Cover up any weird spots where my pink and white ended. This is such tiny work. It's like we're painting little china cups. And then I want to round the edge here. Gosh, you can hardly see it. I might make the bumper lighter than I do the mirror. I think I'm going to do that. There we go. So I had the problem of it being too light up here and too dark down here. So there'll just be two different shades of chrome. And I had a couple little mess ups. You can see where it dips down right there. I am not going to worry about it right now. I'm going to let it dry and then I'll come back with some of this brown color when I outline the bus and fix that up so it's not a funky shape. I mean, I could just make it bigger and bigger, but I think it could get out of control really easy.
She's out of control.
Now I'm going to, while that sits there bothering me a lot because of the shape of it, I'm going to use, wash my brush and use this darker gray. You don't have to use a darker gray if yours shows up against the sky. And the mirror just, it sort of pops out of here and curves out like that. And then we draw a rectangle. It's got a big old side mirror. I'll hold this up in just a second. Here you go. Big old side mirror. You aren't missing anyone behind you. You do not have a blind spot. And now let's outline the headlights. So they're right in here, right in your colored area. Just draw a little ring in both. Try to kind of put them in the same area. So this one I'm not going to have the whole ring showing on this side. It's kind of off the side of the ornament. And then we'll paint the inside with a little white so it looks like a headlight. And now for the Volkswagen emblem.
Oh, that's janky.
What's janky?
My headlights.
They're not too bad.
They're pretty bad.
I want to actually mix a drop of water with my darker gray here.
Let me see if I can fix that.
Maybe a couple drops of water. Thin it out to where it's not watery, but it is thinned out. And I want to completely wipe off my brush, pinch the tip of it into the tiniest little point I can get. That. Dip the very tip of the bristles, pick up the tiniest speck of paint. I don't even know if you can see. You can see the little dark gray on there. It's very small. And I start by, in between the headlights and up above a little bit, right about here. Very, very light pressure. You want to make a circle, a little ring, kind of like you did the headlights. I found it easier to do the W first. So here's what the logo looks like. You get the circle. Really bad circle by me. You have the W. so. And then the V just comes down and meets that. That's a really janky version. But that's basically what we're doing. So I'll do the W first. Oh gosh, I feel like there's way too much paint on there. I need a tiny brush. There are some places that sell them. You need them much for Go Box, but this particular project, it would be nice to have. There we go. That works for me. Kind of just looks like I did this. But it works. It works. There is a VW in there. It's just not superb.
This has got the largest VW badge ever.
It's customized.
That's all it's getting.
Looks like a cow. Joanna says it looks like a cow now. I must have missed that.
I mean, every good painting
This part, yeah. I
goes
can
through
see
cow
that
phase.
now. I can totally see it. Oh my gosh. Now I can't unsee it. Thanks, Joanna. I can't unsee it.
Rule 327. Never say it out loud. Once you say it out loud.
We're almost done with this one. And the forest, this next one we do, is going to feel so nice because we don't have any special outlining to do or anything, any emblems to draw. So I took and I washed my brush, and I'm going to do a little white highlight on the bumper. Right along here. Just let your brush run out.
She's sorry.
No, it's fine. And then I like to do one along this curve too, just to show it's there, and then kind of a little bit across the top here. You can put the tiniest little highlight on the rectangular part of your mirror. I've got a sliver of the emblem I want to touch up with the white. I don't know if that did anything. And I just want to kind of loosely fill in the headlights with a couple of swipes of white. So loosely filled in, you can kind of see it's not at all done spectacularly. But I kind of liked the look of this one. So before all of our greens dry, let's get those palms done. These guys here, and then there's a fun little shadow or reflection of the palm tree on top of the bus. I'm gonna wash my brush. I promise I will fix this bumper too. So use any of these greens. I think like somewhere between these two is perfect for me. Oh gosh, they're dried. I think I need to make a little more. Make a green that you like.
We might be roasting next week.
Oh no. Really?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to move our video equipment to home for that. A home office. Like we used to do in the very beginning. Okay, so yes, this definitely needs something here because it looks kind of blank and just needs that. And what I'm going to do here is I take my green, I do a curved branch, and then just little fronds. It's like we're doing upside down grass. Like remember we were flicking upward down here, well now we're going to flick downward. And as you get towards the end here, you want them to get shorter and shorter. And then you can do that on the top too. Well, let me hold that up. Let me show you on my palette a blown up version of what I did. So I did the curved branch and then little leaves, and as I get to the tip here they're shorter, and then this side too. You can have them shorter on this side because we're kind of looking at it at an angle. So it kind of looks like a fir tree branch. But we know it's a palm tree. And now I'll do another one here. They can even overlap the bus. I like to do, if I am doing a little cluster, I like to do like a group of 3 is perfect. Light touch. Very whisper light. I'm not hardly using much pressure at all. That frames that in really nicely. I could even do more here. Oh, I'm going crazy. And then we have the color reflection on the top, the roof of the car. I have a lot of paint on my brush. I might actually just take and mix a little white with this green, because it would be sort of washed out, the reflection. Gonna wipe my brush off. I don't draw like perfect palm fronds on the top of the bus. I basically give it fringe. Like our bus has bangs. So yeah, you're just kind of painting this fringy green texture across the top. Like that. So let's get, before we outline the bus, which is pretty much one of the last steps, we need to paint tires, or it's just sitting there on the, the dirt without any tires, which is where actually the Volkswagen I grew up with is sitting on the dirt with no tires. My brother has it, and it's just basically a frame. So I have it lined up with the headlight. And these do have pretty skinny tires. I mean, you can customize it and give it nice fat tires if that's the look you want. But you want to take your littlest brush again, just dip it in the black paint, and just kind of center it under this highlight. I'd even do it about the width of the highlight. Just a little square shape. Like that. Cute. You might even have room to do another one over here, depending on how yours is laid out. And I will correct my bumper. It's bothering me like crazy, but I need to wait just a bit until I have that brown color mixed. Before we do that, if you want to add some blue to your grass like this one has, let's see if I can show it now. You can see the blue in there. It's just blue and white. I just made kind of a light blue, and you can even do a highlight on your bumper in that with that light blue if you want. It doesn't really show up. It's not 100% necessary. Let's find a spot here. Make a light blue. About like this color here. Kind of pull and twist your brush and knock off excess paint, because we are working with grass, so we want to keep just a little paint. And I took off too much, but you can just brush in some blades of grass in this color as much as you like. It's not a major change, but it's kind of fun. And then the highlight on the bumper, if you want to do a little blue highlight, you can. Like I said, it's not really a big game changer. And then we're going to outline, and we should be done with this one, ready to move to the next one. How are we looking at? 6:30? Yeah, perfect. The next one goes a little faster for sure. And remember, you can do this again. You can do a whole different color bus over on this side, or some other scene. Maybe you want to put this on the back and then do a whole nother set. Like any of our paintings on YouTube, you can paint on one of these. Just try it out. Maybe you had one that you really liked and you did well with, and you want to try it out on one of these. Go for it. Okay, so let's mix our dark brown that we did earlier. That was black, the pink color, phthalo red, and yellow. So I'll just mix that up right over here. I guess I could have mixed it right there where the brown was. I always start with the black and pink. Gonna add a little water to that, and then a little yellow. I will definitely need to refresh my palette before we start the next ornament. And you can just gradually darken that color to something to match what you had earlier. Oops, I'm painting on the original one. That was funny.
Brain fart.
That was a total brain fart. So I'm going to clean up my lumpy bumpy bumper as much as I can. And if you need to refresh your shadow under your bus, like maybe you need to bring it down a little bit more, just kind of paint it in grass blade texture. And there you go. Now, you do want to add some water to this for outlining. To do thin outlines successfully, having more fluid paint is ideal. You can see it on the camera. Mine's pretty watery. It's not watery enough that it would drip, but it's fairly watery. And then I want to pull and twist my brush so that I have just a little bit. Redip the tip of the bristles. Very light pressure. Just start with the top. Go right across the top. Outlining is a pain in the butt, but it really does take this painting and turns it into looking a lot more finished. Now this top part, it goes right across the top of the windows and then all the way to the end, like so. So just like how we drew it off in the drew it out in the beginning. Keep in mind, the lighter you push, the thinner your outlines are going to be. And now I will outline the windows. If you want to be completely technical, you can add wiper blades somewhere. This is one of those cars that had a choke. We were just talking about cars that have chokes.
Yeah.
What brought that up even? I don't even remember.
The Boys Next Door.
Oh yeah, the Boys Next Door and the Business Next Door. The guy's young sons were learning to drive his vintage Land Rover.
Yeah.
And,
Land Cruiser.
Well, Land Cruiser. And figuring out the choke. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally remember our Volkswagen having a choke. And watching, like, my brother got to pull it once in a while. So I'm going to go down here along the edge.
Yeah, my neighbors manufacture off-road equipment for Toyotas and Lexus. So they've got a couple old Land Cruisers, and the boys, I think, are late high school, early college age, and so nice. They got to get out and
so I'm going to outline the bumper too. Yeah, it was kind of cool to see. We got to tour their shop, and they have this huge CNC machine that was probably, gosh, $80,000 or something, I think he said.
And they've got a couple of them.
Super cool. It makes their life a lot easier for doing their parts. There we go. Fun. So my new one, definitely, I kind of emphasize this rounded part unintentionally. So it's a little more whimsical and cartoony, but super cute all the same. Definitely looks like a Volkswagen bus. I don't think anyone would miss that. It's just kind of a weird one. And that's something I could, if I wanted to, I could take the time and I could let this dry and then add some pink back out and completely reduce how rounded that is. It's kind of Jetsons-ish the way it is though. So I kind of like that. And then if you want to add any more white in the water, you could do that. If you wanted to add some highlights to the back of these hills, you could do that. Maybe in one of the sky colors you've got there. But technically, we are done with this one. We got everything other than threading it with twine. Super cute, super fun. While Paul is finishing up his, I'm going to grab some more yellow because mine is very polluted.
I'm done.
Nice.
For the most part.
We'll show Paul's too. We'll show them both, all of them, when we are completely done. Feels funny to be starting a new painting right now. Usually I skip and jump around between the two, But for this particular one, it actually does work best to just do them all at once. Start to finish. So if you guys are ready, we can move along. Set these aside. And my palette's kind of destroyed. Actually, Paul, I'll have you grab some. You know what? I'll scrape off some of your white because you were less messy than I was.
Yeah.
Grab some of his white. Nice. Okay. So on the reverse side of your instructions, you've got the step-by-steps on these. You can see how it goes. Very, very easy painting. We'll have fun with this one. The hardest part with this one, some people might struggle with the fire, but I'll just tell you exactly how to do it. And then, of course, doing this tiny little crescent moon is a struggle. And so you can turn it into a full moon or leave it off altogether. But that's the one thing. In classes I've taught over the years for 11 years, people have struggled with crescent moons. A lot of times people end up with a banana. And I try to guide you through so you don't end up with a banana. So let's go ahead and take the other ornament. Sorry, my palette looks so destroyed. I could just start with a new one, but I'll just rock this one. So we want to make a light pink to start. So I've got some white here. Just mix some pink in there. Some of the phthalo red. About like this color. I'm using my largest brush. And let's go ahead and go across kind of the, it's not quite the middle, it's a little bit below middle. You can just draw a line like this.
How are you doing beverage-wise?
I'm good. I've been busy working, so.
Okay.
And now I'm going to brush upward. Nice thick band of color. It's about maybe a little more than the width of the brush. Like if I were to turn the brush this way, you can see it's a little wider. I bring the pink higher up in the sky than it is on here because it does get reduced down when we start adding in the lavender. Go all the way to the edges. I had some white hiding on my brush, so we're just looking for a bubblegum color here. And now we are going to use the corner of the brush and scrape up just a dot of the blue, cobalt blue. Mix it in here so you're getting a pale lavender. I want you to overlap the top edge of this. That's what's going to help you get a nice good blend while both colors are still wet. This is where you'll really get to feel how awesome and wonderful painting on such a smooth surface is. So great. I have to remix color and I'm struggling. Let's bring this all the way up at first. Go right over the drill hole. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the drill hole. Right now we're still okay, but just keep in mind when we start painting the trees and mountains in and all that. So we could leave the sky like this, but I do like to darken it up. And I think just adding a little more blue right in here, maybe in the edge of it. Save some of your lighter lavender color just for blending. And I'm going to start from the top where it's nice and wet and just work my way down, letting the brush kind of run out of color as it sort of flirts with those other colors. I have a lot of paint on the brush that's collected. You can see it here. I'm going to just swipe that off on my towel and using just the very, very almost dry brush. I'm going to blend stuff out. And you can go back to your lighter lavender. And I need to add more blue. I like how blue this is. So I'm going to do that. Blue and pink make a perfect purple. Start at the top, work my way down. I'm using kind of shorter, choppier brush strokes, but if you get a lot of stop and start marks, like up in here, you can smooth those out. And you will notice this dries mega fast on this surface. And you end up with a lot of dark patchy parts where the blend looks not so hot. I'll show you how to fix that up. For now, we'll just leave it. Just darkening this top part. So I'm dabbing my brush, dab, 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 and then I just kind of smooth it out with a real quick flick. And I could just keep working and darkening it up even more. I could just paint straight blue on here. Your sky can be kind of streaky, like there's some clouds. And now we need to fix up this blend because you can see how soft this transition is. This one is not so much. I'm gonna wash this brush off. This just, it looks like you could leave it and it could look like there's a heavy cloud structure coming in like we had the other night here. We had some thunder and lightning. It was very, very frightening.
Only me and maybe Galileo.
I'm going to pick up my number 8 brush now. I think this one we can set aside for good, probably. And I've got a little of this lavender left, just a little scraping. I'm going to come along the edge where the dark color meets the pink and just kind of brush upward, letting those two blend together, and then we'll go back to adding light pink into to blend it even further. I need to make more. More.
How do you like it?
What?
More.
So I feel like this lavender is blending nicely into the darker part up here, but this still needs some work because we've got that heavy line there. And we'll go to that in a minute. I'm just adding little bits of lavender at a time, and I'm feathering this in. Letting my brush naturally run out of paint, feathering it in.
I'm not doing any more with the sky.
Now I want to make, let me see yours. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Now I want to make this bubblegum pink again. And this is going to be our saving grace here with this blend. So I washed my brush. I'm going to dry it really good. And I've got the phthalo red and white. You just want to try and make the same shade.
Actually, I look at it now and I go, oh, actually I need to do a little bit more room for some stars.
That's a little light. The same-ish shade. Kind of hard to get it exact. Start along the horizon line and just work your way up. Let your brush run out of paint. So my goal here is to bring the pink a little higher. Now we're using a smaller brush so that it does run out of paint earlier, because using that bigger one, it can hold a lot more paint and it can be a little frustrating when we're doing this kind of blend. So I'm just kind of feathering the edges where the dark and light meet. And remember the last painting, we kind of swirled our brush around? You can totally do that. Create some sort of cosmic cloud structures in here if you like. And that helps blend it too. If you're having trouble with the heavy line, this kind of thing where you're sort of swirling the brush along the edge where the two colors meet can be amazing. Just swirling it in little light circles. Gradually adding, bit by bit, just a little more.
That's what I'm gonna do.
And now I have a nice fade that matches this one pretty good. So you guys just keep working on that, and in just a little 2 shakes of the paintbrush, I'll move on.
You could work this till the bovines come home.
You could. I had a cow painting in the studio once that I absolutely loved. It was so cute. I know I have an animal coming. You guys seem to like the animals. So if you get to the point where you're really sick of painting animals and you're like, Jenny, do something different for the love of God, please let me know, because I'm happy to do what you guys want to paint. I have painted so many paintings. I've got all kinds of stuff I can pull from my head and from past work. So just let me know if animals are just becoming too heavy.
We've done a lot.
They're a good thing to learn, but yeah, I guess
we have done a lot of paintings over the last 11 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we want to create our hill now. These background mountains, very Cascade Mountain looking, and they are just dark purple. It's phthalo red and cobalt together. So these two, no white mixed in. We just want to get a really nice dark violet, very similar to this color actually. Scrape off some blue. Let's scrape off about an equal amount of the phthalo red. Mix that together. See what you get. It is definitely a little bit more of a blue heavy purple on the original. But grape soda purple is perfect. Grape ape. And if you feel like you want to use a smaller brush to sketch out your mountains, you can switch to one of your two smaller ones, like the number 4. Maybe I will. I'll just set this one aside. I want to use it to fill it in, but I'll switch to my number 4 just for sake of being able to control it a little bit more. I have this mountain range, so it's shorter over here, and it just kind of gradually gets bigger and bigger. Sometimes I struggle a little bit with mountains. Let's just start way over here. Just make a little rounded triangle like that. You can do that. Everybody can do that. A little rounded triangle, nice and easy. So the thing to avoid here is we don't want the Egyptian pyramids. So here's what happens a lot of times. People end up with this kind of mountain shape. Because, I mean, it's what we drew when we were little. Even me, even the artist, drew triangle mountains like that. The height is okay. It's the width. So their mountains are a whole lot wider than they are tall. At least this particular type of mountain.
Shield volcanoes.
Shield volcanoes.
Those that we have up here in the northwest.
So you can see it changed to looking a lot more like a natural mountain. And then the other thing you can do, rather than keeping this just like one, oh, it's a rounded triangle, you can come in and you can add a pointier top. You can do the little bump out like Mount Hood has. You could do little bumps, little shallow bumps along here. And then when you fill it all in, oh, you've got a nice mountain. Look at that. So keeping all that in mind, I'm going to end up getting paint all over the back of this. So keeping all that in mind, let's do it. Let's just go up like this. So it's a nice slope, gradual build, and back over.
This one is in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, let's do another little bump here. And then the final one actually ends up getting covered with a tree. Darn it. But it's nice and tall. Maybe I'll give it that extra bump. There's my Mount Hood. I just rebuilt the Cascade Mountains. Mount Hood has some friends now. Now I'm going to set this brush aside and go to my number 8. And just fill all this in. And then as you get it filled in, you can kind of take a look and see, oh, maybe that one's too pointy. Maybe I need to add some more craggy bumps to this other one. You don't have to do that now. We'll do that in a few minutes. But I bring this color, because we build on top of this, I'll just bring it all the way down to the bottom.
We built this mountain on rocks and hills.
Rocks and soil. There you go. We built this mountain. We built this mountain on rocks and soil.
Gosh.
We've got a new jingle. I always tell Paul he should write those jingles that people write for commercials. I mean, they must make so much money.
I don't think they do.
Like the old Dr. Pepper songs. And those ones you remember, like Double McGum.
Mm-hmm.
Double your pleasure, double your fun. I don't even remember the exact.
I have no idea.
Double McGum. Somebody wrote that, and it's in everybody's heads now.
12 beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
What was that from?
That's the Big Mac song. Come on, Jenny.
I don't remember that.
Actually, you know what the best one of all time was? Oh, I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener. Like, who thought that was a good idea?
That's funny. What about who wrote the "Oh yeah"?
Oh yeah,
Kool-Aid Man. Oh yeah.
And then I don't know, but you know, Kool-Aid could have gone after Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, did he used to say that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm a copycat. So funny. I'm trying to think of all the ones.
Oh my gosh, I have got.
Oh yeah, my baloney has a first name. It's Oscar.
Okay, so I've got a situation where I've got paint lifting,
Okay, yeah, I had that a little bit too.
which surprises me with these.
Yeah, if you have that where you're filling it in and it's kind of lifting the base coat up, sometimes it can create a cool natural highlight that's a happy little accident. Other times you hate it. So what I just kept bringing it to the bottom, and then figured when I got to the bottom that would have dried enough to put on another coat.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let mine sit. I know this routine.
Yeah, we're gonna do stars next. So after you do the stars, if you need to put a second coat on any part of this mountain range, you totally can. And if you want to add any, like right here I've got like this big smooth slope. If I wanted to change that up, I'd use my little brush and maybe add a little lumpy bumpy here and there. I'm never super successful with this, but I'll just leave it as it is.
With what?
With adding little lumpy bumpies.
Oh.
So stars. Now these stars are a lot smaller than what we do on canvas. They are tiny, and I know that when we do canvas, we use the handle of our brush, but I will tell you the handle of the brush is too big to do this. So we need to use the very tip of the bristles of the brush end. So if it's, clean your brush off if it's not already. Just pinch the tip together so you get a nice point. Dip it in the white, so you're just picking up a speck of paint. See how much paint I've got on there? Just the tiniest little speck. Let's start on the sides where your stars end up getting covered by trees. Leave a little area for the moon, wherever you want to put the moon. I think I put the moon on after the trees, just because you don't want to like get it on there and then end up with a tree covering it. So I will leave this area. This is probably where I'll put the moon. And just try out doing tiny little specks. You can go a lot further with the brush end than you can with the handle end. And these tiny stars are really fun and pretty, and you can have some that are bigger than others. Down in here where it's pink, you wouldn't have so many. You might have a random one or two. So you don't want to leave it completely blank, because otherwise you end up with like a line of stars where they're all stopping at the same point, and that doesn't look natural. So I do like to bring the occasional little bright star. One of the stars that'll be real bright when it gets dark. Oh, I don't know if you guys caught the full moon last night. It was so gorgeous. We walk our dogs at night. I think we've said that before, because one of our dogs is... he's very dog reactive. So we like to walk him when there's not, like, people with their labs off leash in the park.
Yeah.
My dog's friendly. Okay, well, mine is not. But anyway, last night we were walking, and the moon was... It was pitch black dark, and the moon was full and huge and like right just coming up over the horizon. It was so gorgeous. And you try to take a picture of it with your phone and it just never comes out. It's just not the same. I need one of those. Well, we have a fancy Nikon. We just need to bring it with us.
It's here.
I don't even know if it would do it justice.
No, because you'd have to do it on a tripod.
Yeah. So if you're ending up with a star pattern where every star is the exact same distance from the star next to it and they're all the exact same size, just go in and break that up by maybe clustering a few stars together. Especially right up here where it's dark and there'd be a lot more stars showing. After we paint the moon in later, you can definitely go in and add more stars around it. But here we go. Now, if you need to add a second coat to the mountains, you totally can do that. I think mine are fine, but you might still have your purple in your palette, and you can add that to it. Speaking of these palettes, I do have a few left in stock, and I think they're, I don't know how much they are, $9 or something? Or
something like that.
They're great. They last forever, and they're just like a waxed paper.
So I'm going to point something out real quick about the website.
Mm-hmm.
I know we just changed the website, like just a couple months ago. We're going to be changing again, but the subscription will still be the same, but the subscription part of it doesn't handle regular orders. So like if you're ordering a regular, like one of the past kits or something, it doesn't handle that very well. So be on the lookout. We'll have a new site up in the next month or so.
It'll still be using the same software.
It'll still be using the same subscription software, but we just needed a different engine for the actual e-commerce part.
The subscription software is wonderful for subscriptions, but if you sell any products outside of your subscriptions, it sucks.
It's really bad.
So yeah, we'll just change that part up so it's easy for you guys to find the products. Because right now it only allows us to list them in alphabetical order, and there's literally, I don't know how many now, 100?
Yeah, there's over 100.
So yeah, we'll be able to list them by like animal paintings, nature paintings, that kind of thing, whimsical paintings. Okay, so here we are. We're right here. Now we are going to create our lower landscape and trees. Don't be nervous about that. They actually go together pretty easy. I know I always say that. They do though. We want to make our dark brown. So you might have some left over from the bus, or you might not. You might need to mix it again. That was black, yellow, and phthalo red. So I'll just mix a pool right here. Phthalo red and black first, because the yellow can kind of overwhelm. So I just gradually add the yellow in until I get a color I like. These are pretty dark, the trees, and they're bordering on black, so you can make it darker than what we mixed for the bus. So you can see this on the monitor next to black. It looks very, very close, but it is actually brown. I'm going to add a drop of water to it just to make it a little more fluid, maybe a couple drops of water. And you can just set I mixed it with my number 8 brush. If you can set it aside, we'll use it in a few. Actually, I probably will use it right now. So what we have on here, we have the flat area where the fire is, and then it just kind of goes up, and I have the suggestion of little trees in the background, like maybe they're fir trees that are further apart. So you can take either your number 4 or number 8. Either one of those will work fine. And let's keep the drill hole where it needs to be due north. And so right under that, I like to center the fire about under there. I'm just going to draw a straight line across. Let's just do that. Let's go all the way straight across first and then fill it in to the bottom. And then we'll convert it from here. So now, remember in Paul's paintings, how we turn the brush and we use the vertical edge to build little tree shapes? That's what I'm doing. I'm going to climb up the edge here. This is background scrub. And you can have a little bit of it behind the fire too, because it would be there too. It's not going to flatten out and be like, oh, this fire goes right here. Fire's going to be painted over this. And let's just keep going. Climb up this side too if you want. Much of this gets covered up. I think we did an ornament like this.
We might have.
Similar, about a year ago. I don't think it didn't have the fire on it, but the colors and mountains remind me a lot. Okay. Trees. They are, I made them very, very thick at the bottom, and then they kind of go up at an angle on each side. They sort of angle in towards this.
Oh, like kind of like a fisheye lens.
Yeah, it is. It's like a fisheye lens photo. And so they're really thick here, and then they taper off and get really tall. I kept all the branches up really high. You guys will probably like me better if I make these with a smaller brush. Just for a little more control. So keep this like number 4 brush handy. We'll probably use that to fill in some of the larger parts. But let's go to our smallest brush. If you need to refresh this paint with a little water because it's dried in the heat, do that. Let's start with the easier trees. This one's the one that you probably your brain will kind of be a little weird about. And so we've got our hole here. Now this one here, it goes pretty close to straight up and down. It does lean a little. That's a good one to start with because it's not such an excessive leaner. I'm gonna go just a line that goes from the bottom to the top. And my goal here is to make it a little bit wider. The one next to it is skinnier. So I'm gonna scooch over about maybe 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch. And then as I go up, I'm getting closer and closer to that original line. So it's about twice as wide as it is up here, maybe 1.5 times as wide. And I'm going to fill this in. I think this one on canvas would be so pretty. So feel free if you got an extra canvas or maybe a pass box, maybe there was one certain painting you didn't really want to do or weren't vibing with, and you've still got a blank canvas, you should have extra paint. Feel free to try this out, and if you do, make sure you post it on our Go Box Art Crate Facebook group page. And if you haven't joined that yet, please do. It is great. It's fun to see everybody's work.
You know, I realize I've kind of sucked at participating in there.
Yeah, you do suck at that.
I kind of get caught up in my day job and forget.
What the heck, Paul?
I know, right?
Okay, so the one next to it, it's just parallel. It's just parallel to it. There's a very small gap between the two. Yours could be a larger gap. It's not going to hurt anything. And so I'll just scoot over a little bit and make this one go up. And I want to make it a little wider at the bottom, just like we did that first time. And then as I get up here above the mountain range, it'll probably just end up going to one single line. Let me smooth that out. You might need to put a second coat of brown on these after they dry. You definitely want to wait till they dry. For those who've been painting with us for a while, you know that by now, that acrylic paint does not like to stick to itself unless it's dried a bit. Now this one is fun. It's kind of closer to the fire, closer to our viewpoint, and the reason that you can notice that is because I brought the highlights down lower. So before it looked like it started at the horizon, but bringing the highlights down closer, we see, oh, it's closer to the fire. Be careful, fire. This is not the time of year to burn. So this time, I'm going to make it lean a little more dramatically, and sometimes this can hurt your brain a little bit. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll make a mark. So maybe scoot over from this hole over to here at the top, make a mark. And then down here, I'll just sort of pretend I'm drawing a line, draw a little line down here, a little mark or something down there, something you can see. And you can connect those. The leaning part is kind of nice. It does give it that fisheye lens look. So there, I've got these are pretty much straight up and down. They can lean a little bit. This one is really leaning in. Now this one's going to go really wide at the bottom. It's about 1/2 inch if I were to take a ruler and measure. This is really close to 1/2 inch from here to here. So I'll just pop over and then I'm going to paint upward, and look how close I'm getting right away. Really close to that first original line. So you end up with a wedge shape. It's like a skinny piece of pizza.
I looked at our pizza. I don't know if they sent us the right thing.
Oh no. Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh-oh. Okay, so I'm just filling that in. Well, we'll still eat it. We're not picky.
Yeah, I'm not that picky.
We're not picky. Kind of fun to just like, before we left home, I was like, let's just order a pizza and have it delivered. And it said the time frame is 2 hours. We're like, okay, well, good. It'll come by the time we're finishing the feed, the live stream.
It was like 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
So our little town we live in, Sherwood, like the best pizza place is probably Mod Pizza. Like we have like Mod, Domino's. That's it. Papa Murphy's. That's it.
Is that cold?
It's somewhat.
Okay, I'll take a little just to try it.
And but Newburgh, which is just 5 miles away from home, has
all the good pizza places.
Several little good.
All the good. No, that's good. All the good restaurants, really.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Like Sherwood and Newburgh are about the same size population-wise, but Sherwood's like Red Robin. You know,
just lots of franchises.
Yeah, more franchises, and Newburgh's more like farm to table kind of.
If you ever do come to Sherwood, try Fat Milo's.
Fat Milo's.
My friend owns it, and they are the most awesome place. They have
kind
the
of
best
like
food.
Southern comfort
so
food.
Good. Okay, so now we are here. We need to add the branches. Look how high up they are. So that gives the illusion that these are fir trees, like Douglas fir trees. They're way up there. The branches we paint on, and then we add the fir texture next. Now first, if you need to add a second coat to these trees over here, they've probably dried enough that they will accept a second coat without too much complaint.
You know what's kind of nice is we are actually teaching with a door wide open.
Yeah. I can hear the birdies.
I can hear birds. It's pretty quiet on a Friday evening.
Paint. Okay, branches. So the fir tree branches, they do kind of go really close to straight outward, but I like to make them go at an upward angle because you can really have it look funny if it does go straight out. I know in nature they probably do look that way, but in the painting world we're going to do them different. Let's just start up here and just make one that sort of veers off the top. Very easy. We can do that. Everybody can do that. Super easy. Tiny little line. Let's do another off this one. Maybe it crosses over this guy.
I'm sorry about that yawn. That was an audible yawn. For some reason, I've been so tired this week.
It's ever since we went to that concert. I'm going to make one that goes off here, like that.
I don't know if it's that or just mental drain.
Could be. Okay, now I'm going to make one that is under here, and it goes up kind of at an angle. Maybe it's angling towards this hole. And I don't want to end it just like that, just like a broken off stick. So what I do is I'm going to branch off of that and make that one go a little bit longer. So you can see that there. And I could add another, maybe make this one a little shorter with another branch off of it. And we need to put some on the other side. You can just cross over this other guy and just disappear. Those are easy.
Oh, shoot. You know, we're getting really close to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh my gosh. I remember when we just were like, we're almost to 1,000.
Yeah. I think we've got, when I look today, we're at like 4,860.
That's great.
So,
thanks, guys. Love it.
For those of you who are watching and haven't subscribed, like, it's not like we're going to...
You could be the 5,000th person.
YouTube's not going to send us some kind of fancy little, like, plaque or anything like that, but it would mean a lot to us emotionally.
Yeah,
to, like, hit 5,000. I mean...
It'd help us emotionally. Financially, we're kind of...
It doesn't matter. It does not affect us financially, but, you know, you would be doing a good thing for the mental psyche of a couple of artists who are just doing their best.
A couple of mental artists.
Mental artists, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make another branch here it's up high still, and it's going to go off here, and maybe I've got room to fee off of that one. Now, I am using very light pressure. I have my paint slightly watered down. Very tip of the bristles. I don't have a ton of paint on my brush. That's going to give you the nicest branches. But we do put foliage on these. And so if they are thick and feel uncomfortable to you, they're going to be fixed up. They will definitely be fixed up. You'll save on your monthly therapy bill if people subscribe.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Hold on. Let me look, because I'm kind of like, I plunged ahead a little bit, so I've got...
Okay, but I'm going to, real quick.
That's fine.
Let's get a second coat of paint on this big guy. He's our General Sherman. Is that what it's called? General Sherman, the big redwood tree, the biggest one ever?
Well, I don't think it's the biggest one ever, but he is...
He's the oldest or something.
Yeah, he's one of
He's
the
an
ones.
old man. I need to go see him again. I saw him when I was like 7, but I can't hardly even remember.
Let's go do it.
Yeah.
Like...
We'll stay in one of the little cabins out there.
Are there cabins there? I don't know. We could go stay with family, I'm sure. I've got family down in the area.
Okay, so I gave this a second coat, and now let's get some branches just like these. Like, let's start with the easy one that just goes way up high here, goes off the edge. And maybe this one's going to go out here and off the top above that drill hole. And look, I even gave that one a little curve. That's fine.
So...
And do one here with a little...
Here's an analytic for you,
little
right?
growth off of it.
80% of our viewing is people who are not subscribed to our channel.
Ah, nice.
No, that's not nice.
Oh, okay.
80%. It's actually more
That's
than 80%.
the wine talking.
Only 19% of the people that watch our videos are subscribed to our channel.
Whoa. Okay.
So, like,
I'm going to do another branch here while you're doing that.
YouTube likes to see, like, 50%. So, if you're watching and enjoying...
Get us to there. Get us to that 50%.
Yeah. Come on.
So, one thing I like to do is occasionally put a little broken off branch. Like, you know, over the years, there's been windstorms and all kinds of things that just leave these little broken off nubs. Then we're going to add the pine foliage, unless you like it like this. If your branches ended up kind of thick and it actually already kind of looks like this, you can leave it.
Yep.
But I will show you how to add the pine foliage. Keep in mind, we are going to put our moon there, but you also could put your moon here. It doesn't matter. I just put it where I had space on the original.
I put a bird on mine.
Okay. Nice. So your pine needles... I did these very similar to how we did the palm tree. So I'll just come like under a branch and just do little... So basically, I'm like this, what I did earlier. So I've got a branch here. Let's say I've got one that goes out like that. I'm just going to do this kind of thing. You might not even need any more than that, but if you want to add more, you can do some on the opposite side. So really, we're just looking for some roughage. You can dab your brush. This is a little easier than the palm tree. You're not having to really do too much other than just dabbing.
So I'm going to give people a heads up. It's supposed to be pretty warm next weekend.
Okay.
Next Friday.
Are we thinking about maybe adjusting our stream date?
No. I don't know when else we would do it, but we might be sweaty and shimmery and...
We should stream from the beach. You'd have to bring so much equipment, though.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I'm going to do some here.
It would be really difficult to do.
That would be fun. One of these days, someday
I'll work on it. You know
we'll
what?
stream live from Hawaii.
I'll work on acquiring the equipment so that we can do streams from other parts of the... not be so locked in. It can be done. We're not far off. I'm pretty close to it.
I ordered some stuff for home so I can do a lot more videos for you guys. Because right now it's all at Paul's place of business, which is like this morning I taught the gymnastics kids, and it's kind of loud. The people next door to us were like drilling through the wall, and I'm like, sorry.
To be fair, they're moving some equipment from one space, one part of their space to another, and they had an electrician out.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, they were doing, but I don't know because
There we go.
They're super nice guys, by the way.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's our fir trees. Very simple. There's no need to perfect these guys. They get highlights on them underneath, and they're just there's no need to make them perfect.
You know what's kind of funny?
What?
You know what we've got in the storage unit? I've got a big stack of paintings from my first year of painting in college.
That's funny. You're talking a lot.
That's
I
fine.
need to get going.
It's all right.
I'm going to paint the moon so you can keep talking.
Oh, all I was going to say is, like, we should actually... I bet we can dig out some of your old college stuff, too.
I don't know if I want to see that.
I know, it's actually kind of disturbing. But it would be kind of fun to, like, kind of... Maybe not on, like, one of our regular teaching tutorials, but maybe a separate live stream. Be like, hey, this is where we started.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Look how much I sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I cringed hard. Mm-hmm. Like, I literally, like...
Am I a good artist?
physically reacted to some of my old paintings.
Actually, I'm going to show you guys on paper in a different color how the best way to do a crescent moon. And if your crescent moon just doesn't cut it, you can turn it into a full moon. It's not going to affect this in any way. It's not going to make it wrong or bad or worse or anything. So I'll just do blue. The way I do a crescent moon, you want to keep the edges sharp because you can end up with a banana. So it looks like this. I saw so many banana moons in my years of teaching.
Oh, yeah.
And people struggle with that. And the best way to make a crescent moon is you want these ends to be real pointy, like this. And it looks better that way. So what I do is I have people do a C shape, real light pressure. And then you go back this way and you just thicken up this part. Look at that. Look at the difference. It's so much better to just keep those edges pointy and thicken up just a little bit of the middle part. So try it out. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can absolutely turn it into a full circle, full moon. Just dip the very tip of your paintbrush into the white. And here's our little tiny moon here. You can make it bigger than that if you want. Whatever you got here. I have barely any space.
Yeah, I don't really have room for mine, so I might just leave it off.
So I'm going to do a C shape. What is this? This is like is it a waxing crescent?
So it kind of depends on which side of the...
Yeah, which side you're...
And
I think this is waxing crescent.
I think you're right, because waxing means it's getting
Building
bigger.
Building up to be a full moon.
And waning means it's getting smaller, and I think it goes left to right.
Yeah. So then, yeah, just leave the edges pointy and just thicken up this center part.
Where's Hayden when we need him?
Yeah, our son is really, he knows all the moon faces. I think it's so cute. And then, remember earlier I told you can put stars around the moon if you left this area really blank. So you don't want to put any stars in here because the moon is a circle. It's funny, when we're kids we think, oh, it's just a crescent. But it is a full circle, so there wouldn't be stars here. It's funny looking back on some of my paintings, I did put stars there. I'm like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. But you can put stars around it if you missed that somehow. I want to go here. I think this is such a pretty spot. I don't know if it exists in nature. It is somewhere in Oregon with maybe like this is like, they look like Three Sisters mountains.
Yeah, for sure.
So hopefully you guys had some success with your crescent moon.
I did not.
You know, I'll turn mine into a full moon. So you see here, we've got a crescent here. Let me turn this one into a full moon, just so you can see that it's perfectly okay. Just turn it into a full circle, fill it in. And you can leave it like that. I mean, it looks like a full moon. Mine's kind of a squishy circle, though. I need to maybe round out the bottom just a little bit. But in all the classes that you guys have taken with us where we've painted moons, you know that a lot of times we definitely go back and paint some craters. You want to use a little bit darker color and just dab some little dots on there.
I just went back and
you
took
can
my
just
moon
keep
off altogether.
working it.
I was like,
You took your moon off altogether?
Yeah, it felt like too much.
Okay. Yeah, mine's kind of squished over here on the side. But I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just want to round out this lower part. It's just getting bigger and bigger. It's okay. A nice big full moon.
You guys might hear a helicopter.
That's an airplane.
Was that? No, that's a helicopter.
Okay, so now we are going to paint the base of the bonfire. It starts in white. You can see it there. And then all we have to do after that is just add the yellow, a little bit of orange highlights, and then we're done. But this is a tall, skinny teardrop shape. And it's broken up. So you can see here, it kind of gets broken up. I had to learn to paint campfires about 5 years ago. I hadn't actually ever done one. So you want to dip the tip of your bristles in white. You don't pick up a ton of paint. And down in here, you can even just drop right down under your drill hole here. Let's just do a little slightly curved smile shape. It's not very big. Unless you want a giant bonfire. And then this goes up. And see how, look what I'm doing. I'm kind of doing these vertical paint strokes as I work my way up to a teardrop shape. And you can go off the sides, like maybe there's some that just go straight up. I do like to go above the height of the mountain range.
I'm gonna be honest. Anybody who's building a fire this big in the mountain, in the woods,
Shame on you.
irresponsible.
We're going to paint it instead. So I feel like looking at mine, that one tall, skinny tendril right here is just a little bit too singular, and it needs some other little flames coming off of it. So there, I changed it up just a bit.
Especially, like, okay, I'm going to do a disclaimer real quick. If you go out and camping and, like, just seeing all the wildfires we've had on the West Coast for the last few years,
I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe
do not build a fire this big.
build a fire this big.
Do not.
Let's wash our brush, and we're going to add some highlights to the trees. And by the time we get done with that, this will be dry. We can add the yellow to that and a little bit of orange in the middle. Let's see. So we want to use our smallest brush, and I think I just used yellow. Oh. I'm going to use just yellow. I know, and I think in the instructions it says to make orange. The orange can be pretty intense, so we'll start with yellow. Just plain yellow. And one of the things you can do to suggest bark on these trees, let's highlight one of these little ones. You just kind of do dashed sort of highlights, because the fir trees, they kind of have big bark. Big chunky bark. So you can see that there. You can see it on this one too. Now that the side of the tree you want to highlight is obviously the one facing the fire. You can bring this down to the bottom of the circle itself. And this is one that as it dries, it gets a little bit darker. So I do come back and do a second coat on some of these just to make some parts of it brighter. So same goes for this one here. You're highlighting the right side of the tree because it's facing the fire. Kind of little dashed lines. You can bring it down as far as you want. This one could end right here, or you could bring it down even further. If you want to bring it all the way to the bottom of the round, you totally can do that. And you can bring the highlights a little further up in the trees, but the underside of the foliage on the tree, that's what's going to be highlighted. It's pretty subtle. You can see where I put it on the underside. These, the parts that are nearest the fire. So just dab on a little. This painting needs a Sasquatch.
Right? I mean, every painting needs a Sasquatch.
This one over here, they wouldn't necessarily catch too much of the light from the fire, but you could put a little. And all of this yellow, when you paint it on and it dries, it dries a little more transparent. So you can come back and give a stronger highlight just by giving a second coat on maybe not every single little dash line that you drew, but a couple of them. Like this one especially, you can see where I came back and I did a stronger highlight here and here just by adding a second coat. So speaking of that, we're going to go over to this one, and I'll just start right in the middle. Come down my little dashed lines all the way down to the bottom. This is the one I said looks like it's closer to the viewpoint. And you can come up in here maybe with less yellow because it's getting away from the light source. And get the underside here, especially right here. It would be very highlighted. And under here, over here. Maybe you might have a little here, not too much. Before I highlight the fire itself, there is a ring around the fire in yellow because it's going to cast light around the circle here. I have a lot of paint on my brush. I might just knock some of that off on my towel. And I'm just going to start way back here using horizontal brush strokes and just getting wider and wider underneath the fire itself. Down here. Just gradually add a little at a time. I'm letting my brush run out of paint. So then I get kind of this smudgy look. But I will add a little bit more. I'm going to add some orangish shade to that too. And then when you're ready, this fire, the white part should be dry, and you can brush yellow on top. And suddenly you've got this intense burning fire, and it's super cool. Woohoo! You can even add little licks of flame that are like, you remember how we painted it in white first? You can add some that are not white. They're just going to be a little more transparent, and that's how it would be. You see, if you've looked at a roaring fire, you see sometimes there are some areas you can see through, and others where it's really opaque and burning white hot. My bonfire is just getting really big in this one. And I like to add the suggestion of little sparks. I think I forgot this part on the instructions, but you can see just like how we dotted the stars by using the very tip of the bristles of the brush. If you like, you can add little sparks that are coming up, and they're kind of just above the flame part and just heading up into the sky. I don't add too many, just a little, because they can be a little bit distracting. Now would be the time if you feel like you want to add a stronger yellow highlight to some of these trees. It's dry enough now that you can do that. So these stronger highlights would be around where the fire is, so down lower, right in here, right in the zone. And lastly, we want to add a bit of orange. And you can see I didn't add a ton, but it is there. You can add more than that if you want. I don't think it will cause any kind of issue. So it's a phthalo red and yellow. A little more yellow than phthalo red. Makes kind of a nice pumpkin orange, actually. And I'll just paint some dabs of that in the bonfire itself. And maybe some in the highlights here and there too. And you could play around. Maybe I'll add a little more pink to some part of this. Have a little bit stronger, intense orange in the middle. Now the cool thing is going like this that was the last step. Other than you can add some orange around on the ground, maybe a little more yellow. Like as my yellow's dried, it's gotten a little bit more transparent, so a few hits of paint here and there are not going to hurt. If you look at your painting, if you feel like your highlights didn't get broken up enough, maybe you have too strong of highlights on the trees and they're really distracting from the fire itself, you can go back to your brown and just brush some more bark in there in the brown color just to subdue that highlight a bit. And then if you want, you can add what looks like logs on the bonfire. I kind of put them in here. They're just black. And all I did was come from the bottom of the bonfire out. If you've ever built a fire, you know, you build like a little pyramid of wood. And there you have it. I've got my full moon and my crescent moon. You'll want to thread it with twine. Now, the twine, the ends kind of unravel a little bit. So you might even just snip the very tip off with scissors or use water. Like I used water to thread these at home. And just kind of twist it and thread it through. And then some of these I noticed that just the hole wasn't completely punched out. I just stuck a toothpick through and it was just like there's a little paper residue left in there. But there we go. Let's see how Paul did. Let me move my palette out of the way. It's kind of distracting.
It's distracting. Get it out of here.
Okay, so this is mine from tonight.
Oh, get that white paper out of it too.
No, that helps show it.
Okay. My bus is not very good.
Oh, there's Paul's bonfire. Oh, look at him. He highlighted his mountain to make it so fancy. And his big old bus. Big old yellow bus. Fun stuff. That was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I enjoyed it.
So, people have bumped out already. Let's zip over to
this one
us.
went a little bit longer because it really is like doing two.
Yeah, we went over
paintings.
2 hours. So what? It's 9. Well, it's only 9:30 on the East Coast. So
Yeah,
let's come back.
we went a little bit longer than normal. We usually about an hour and a half, so about a half hour.
Can you guys
over.
hear that helicopter? I don't know. Like,
I think that's an airplane.
no, that's a helicopter.
It is? Okay.
Totally a
Obviously.
helicopter. I sit here and listen to them all day, every day.
Okay.
So. I'm literally, like, we are literally like 100 yards from where helicopters take off. And it's kind of cool because sometimes they do some training and stuff, and it's kind of fun to see them.
Sydney, I would love to see your paintings if you want to post them.
Yeah.
And Joanna, too, when you get them done.
Oh, the
Oh,
helicopters
you
are
hear it.
loud?
That's great.
Well, I mean, we have the door open right now.
We do, yeah.
So it's, I don't know. I kind of prefer the sound of the helicopters to the drunk people from the Irish pub.
Yeah, we had the Irish pub behind or underneath us.
Yeah,
But this was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed it
Yep.
too. Our last, I called it summer vibes. I just figured this is our last chance summer dance, and then we're into fall.
Yep.
And everything will be fall straight into Christmas.
Oh, wow. Christmas already?
Our son keeps track of the days until Christmas and Halloween.
135, is that what it is?
It's like 140 something till Christmas, and then like it's like 80 or 81 days till Halloween. So it's gonna come up here. It's gonna come up here fast, and we're just gonna have fun. I've got a lot of ideas for some painting kits. 'Cause like I said, that's my time to be inspired. Definitely.
Yeah, that's your time of year for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and now honestly, like we've talked about this in the past, and maybe not on the videos, but like fall and autumn paintings, we can almost do all year long, and people enjoy them. Mm-hmm. Versus summer paintings are really hit and miss.
Yeah.
So.
And we will get some shelves hung in the background and some
we're
paintings.
gonna get something going.
It's just taking a little time. We had to recover from our move in the hot weather. But I feel like we're catching up now. August is a super busy month for us. We've just got a lot of events and things going on. But I'm looking forward to fall, and the paintings we'll share with you guys too. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again to our Patreons. We appreciate you so much. Thank you to those of you who subscribe to our box. If you're interested, it's gobox.com, and you can buy a month-to-month subscription, a 3-month, or a 6-month, and they just get cheaper per month as you go further. And
the longer you commit to us, the more we get you back. So.
Exactly. We got your back.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Adrian is there. Thanks for popping in, Adrian.
Yeah,
I know you and I have
thank
had
you.
several conversations over the last month, so
Yeah.
glad you're here.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna call it a night. We'll check you.
We'll be here next week.
Same
time, same place. Lots of sweat next week. So we'll be shiny.
Maybe we'll hang something on this back wall.
We'll see. All
right, guys.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
I don't know if it's still going, but there it goes. Now it's not.